the noise? What's the noise?
I just want to get this one thing off of my mind. And this is the whole thing about Shedeur Sanders. I just want to get this off of my mind. Hello, everyone. Welcome to What's the Noise with your host, CJ Houston. I want to get into this whole Shedeur mania. And I don't think that people really understand why there is a mania. Myself being a football fan, I never really heard too much about Shedeur Sanders while he was at Jackson State. Why? Because I'm usually a big college football watcher. And besides all of that, what actually comes on television? You're going to watch the Ohio State Buckeyes or the Wisconsin Badgers or the Texas Longhorns, the Miami Hurricanes. These are the teams you want to watch. These are the teams you're going to see. Alabama, Georgia, okay? So playing at a HBCU, you're really not going to hear a whole lot about those players. So when Shedeur was at Jackson State, it wasn't about him. It was about his father. It was about Deion Sanders. Deion had the following. And so many fans of football, like myself, when we heard that Deion was going to be the head coach of the Jacksonville team, great, and it was nice to hear other professional football players like Eddie George, who on to coach at a HBCU. So Deion was there. Obviously, he was playing the son at quarterback. We heard little snippets of things, but there wasn't a real fandom about Shedeur Sanders. So when Deion left and decided to go to Colorado, and he had that meeting with the players, and he said, he bringing his dogs with him, so he was bringing his son, so it didn't matter who was the starting quarterback before. My son's going to be the starting quarterback. So if you want to hit the transfer portal, go right ahead. That's just the way it is. Either that or you're going to be the backup. So at that point, you start to hear a little bit about Shedeur. Okay, now this is Deion's more profile head coaching job, more of a Division One, which I can understand why he pretty much wanted to get that job, because guess what? He wanted to put his son in a position to play on the Division One level, major college football, so to speak. And if he could do that, then he could showcase his talents. Okay. So Shedeur is playing in Colorado. He has his own following, but I don't think it was like the whole country type of a following. He did whatever videos and stuff that he did to build up his followers, whatever social media stuff that Shedeur was doing to build up all of that following. Great. We heard a little bit about Shedeur. Still at Colorado, you became interested. Okay, let me see what this young man can do up here on this level. So at that point, there were times that I would check the box score, like, how many passes were thrown, how many were completed, how many touchdowns did you have, how many yards per run did you have, how did the offense score, and all of this type of stuff. So now you start getting a little bit of, insights into all of that. But the real key came. The real key came when it came time for draft season. And Mel Kiper had Shedeur Sanders as the top number one overall draft prospect. Okay, this is what I really want to talk about. So when you take a look at this, you begin to see that Shedeur Sanders is on Mel Kiper's board as the number one rated quarterback according to Mel Kiper. So on the draft night, the anticipation of his name being called in that very first round was huge. Was it Travis Hunter? Was it Shedeur Sanders? You know, were going to be who was going to be the top pick, and you know, what are some of the top quarterbacks that were going to go early? But all night long, on that very first night, Mel Kiper kept showing he doesn't understand what's going on because he has Shedeur Sanders as the number one rated quarterback. And this is going out to millions of people that are sitting back at their television watching the draft. Now they're starting to wonder, he didn't go in the first round. So then you go to day two. He didn't go in the second round. He didn't go in the third round. Now they're starting to wonder, like, what is going on with this? Top rated quarterback, one of the best in the class, not being drafted. Then you get to the day three. It still took a while. The Cleveland Browns decided to pull the trigger and select a second quarterback. Happened to be Shedeur Sanders. That is what all the fuss is about. Right there. Part one of the fuss. That's it right there. Because there appears to be something that occurred that was unjust. People pull for the underdog. And what you have to start to understand is that millions of fans started to see Shedeur Sanders as the underdog. So they started pulling for the underdog. Okay, this young man was supposed to go in the first round. He didn't go in the second round, the third round, or the fourth round. He went in the fifth round. And then there was this Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski. Oh, well, they're all going to compete. And then that brings us to the second problem. I'm going to stop sharing this, get this off of here so I can get back to myself on the full screen. Okay, so see, you can't say you're going to have a quarterback competition and that quarterback that you drafted in the fifth round is sitting over on the side, not getting any number one reps. You know how that looked to people? People started pulling for Shedeur. Shedeur had to go and find players that he could get reps with. College players, high school players, whoever he could get out there and throw the football to, he decided to do it. But that is the second reason. And it's a very huge reason why there is a Shedeur Mania. He is the underdog, and people are pulling for the underdog. So when you talk about the fans of Shedeur, that is the reason. They're fans because everything that was said about him, when you watch him in his interviews, when you watch him speak out in the community, he appears to be nothing but a really good young man. He is nothing but a really good young man. He has confidence. Okay. Don't they tell us all that whatever we do in life, have confidence? He has confidence. He got it from his father, who breathed all of that into him over the years. We shouldn't treat a person as arrogant if they just have confidence and they believe in their ability to be good. They believe in their ability to play. And because of that, many people jumped on the fan bandwagon because we saw indifferent treatment. We didn't see him getting a fair shake, and he didn't. So a lot of people was like, I stand behind this young man. I hope he does well, and we're rooting for him. That's where a lot of the mania come from. And then there's actually a third one, is that when he actually did get an opportunity to play, that he had no first team reps. His offensive line was just as terrible as it was like at Colorado. And now we want to beat him up for his play. Oh, he don't look good. Anybody in those media people who says, well, Shedeur didn't look good, they don't know football. What I saw was a young man with limited opportunities actually do some really good things out there. Really good things out there. And you know, when you play football sometime and when you are the quarterback and things break down, you have to make something happen. And his ability to escape, his ability to run, his ability to make something happen, it all showed out there. And people saw that. His detractors talk about the numbers. Well, he had so many interceptions. Okay, well, maybe they should have given him more opportunities to practice with the number one team. Maybe they should have given him more opportunities. They didn't. It is what it is. To me, he made the best of his opportunity. So he had the draft night slide. He was treated unfairly at practice when he said they was going to have all four were going to be able to compete for the starting job, which was a lie. More on Kevin Stefanski, of course. And then his play. Like, you're going to dog this young man out over the way that he is playing when he didn't get a lot of opportunities. So that is why people want to see him play. That is why people is on the Shedeur Mania. And that's it. I mean, like, that's the real. So all of you detractors who says, oh, he's not that good, and some of them in the local media here that I watch and I hear some people say, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is very good. I don't think you're very good. I don't think you're very good. I don't think that your ability to analyze. So if you were to wonder who in the heck I am and how would I know? Well, I did coach football at the high school level. I played football. I coached. I watched film. Okay. I was a defensive coordinator. I had to plan for stuff. You know, I know talent when I see talent. And, you know, no quarterback is perfect. when y'all talk about a quarterback, I mean, a lot of these dudes throw interceptions. A lot of these dudes make mistakes. Okay? A lot of times it depends on what kind of offensive line do you have. And I want to end on this one note, and it's about Joe Flacco. When Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl and he was with the Baltimore Ravens, the word at the time was just don't mess it up, Joe. Just don't throw any interceptions. Just try to keep the offense moving. They played by their defense. They just wanted him to manage the game. He wasn't throwing for, like all of these yards and looked like the king of all quarterbacks. He was just someone there to manage the offense, kind of keep it moving. He didn't have to do too much special or anything along those lines. Now that's the truth. Well, we couldn't ask that of Shedeur, though, right? That'd be too much. Like, right. Thank you for watching this episode of my show called. Thank you for watching this episode of. I forgot the name of the show. Okay. Thank you for watching this episode of What's the Noise? We cut through the clutter. I'm going to tell you just like it is, and that's the way it is. Stay tuned. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and we would always thank you for being a part. Thank you very much.